Kissing your spouse is a good thing. Every day. Melissa not falling off the chair is a better one. Okay. Here's the next one. If your card answers yes to, are your parents divorced? Stand up. Wow. A lot of people coming from families of no divorce.
Intact.
That's beautiful.
We love that.
All right. If your card answered yes to, are you angry a lot? Stand up.
It depends. Am I driving a car in traffic?
Steve has situational anger. All right. The next question, if your card answers yes to, have you ever been physically abused? Stand up. All right. So yes, a little bit to that. Okay, next question. If your card says, are you satisfied with the intimacy of your marriage? Stand up. All right.
Good job to at least over half.
Okay. The next one is, if your card says, are you a blended family? Stand up. Yay, blended families. We are one. Steve's family came pre-assembled. If your card says yes to, have you ever had an affair? Stand up.
I'm so glad Melissa finally got to stand up for something.
That was the great one to stand up for. I stood up for I've kissed my spouse today.
Yes.
Gosh. Okay, if your card says yes, do you have an excessive fondness for romance movies? Stand up. Steve helped me stand on that one. Did y'all see that? He didn't want me to miss it. Okay, go girls, rom-coms. We love them. If your card says yes, do you think your spouse is respectful? Stand up. Wow.
Well done. Well done.
Wow. You know what? This could be one of two things, babe. It could be all of the women who got really respectful husbands, or it could be all the husbands who got really respectful wives. So we'll talk about that. Okay, good job, respectful people. If your card answered yes to, do you feel secure in your marriage? Stand up. Oh, I should have stood up on that one. You were a respectful husband, sorry.
I try.
All right, good. And finally, if your card answered yes to, have you ever considered a divorce? Stand up. Not to Steve,
Well,
but to other people.
hopefully we'll be able to say a lot more no's to that one after this weekend.
Yes. All right. One of the reasons that we do that is just to reiterate, you're not alone. Marriage problems happen to everybody. You're not alone.
And you guys can all say, you know what? I chose to be proactive to build and strengthen my marriage so I don't get overwhelmed by the struggles and the things that aren't just right.
And the other thing we want to say is, here's the deal. Some of these questions are pretty revealing, to say the least. But the good news about this is God's language is never guilt, shame, and condemnation. So if you answered yes to some of the things that would seem addiction, pornography, abuse,
anger,
violence, all of those things, if you've struggled in those areas and you answered yes to those, can I tell you there's no shame in our game?
Okay. I want to just throw a quick bonus question out there because one of my addictions is American football. The question I have for you all people is American football real football? Oh, thank you.
Yes,
now
Americans
one person on my side on this one.
Yes.
And I will say this, as a smallish individual who played 1 year of American football as a youth, and my team scored twice the entire season. I did play soccer up until I was in high school, so I appreciate football. I'm just not as passionate about it as I am American football.
All right. Well, thanks for coming. Let us tell you a little bit about us. Stephen and I have been married for 20 years. I was married for 20 years prior to that. I know I don't look that old, I'm afraid to lose a few pounds because I'm pretty sure that all of this fluffy stuff holds out my wrinkles. But
I just cover mine up with hair.
yeah. And so anyway, so I was married for 20 years before that in a really unhealthy marriage. My husband would have told you he was raised by two professional fighters, and I was raised by two professional hiders. So we fought like cats and dogs, just nobody outside of our family knew about it. And really, the only people that really knew what happened in our house were the three unfortunate souls who called us parents. And we fought all the time. After 20 years, I'm a Christ follower. I've been a Christ follower most of my life. I didn't believe in divorce. And divorce would have made my family look bad, which we hide our mess because we want our family to look perfect on the outside, right? I mean, if you guys are like us, nobody's posting their real life on social media. We are fronting our best self. We'll be honest to tell you. We're not talking about our fights on social media too often. But so I was a professional hider, so I hid all of the trauma in our relationship, and because of that, nobody was there to say things to me like, Melissa, you might be the most disrespectful woman I've ever met.
Melissa, you might be, never mind.
And nobody was there to say, Mark, maybe you shouldn't control things with rage. And so we fought, nobody spoke into our lives, nobody helped us, and we're all the victim of we just don't know what we don't know. And so after 20 years, I was the one who left the marriage. I woke up one day and thought, I can't fight anymore. I don't have another fight left. I left the marriage. My kids were 6, 12, and 16 at the time. And imagine 20, some of you guys are old enough to remember 20 years ago. We are pre-internet. We're pre-internet, so at the time of my divorce, there was this funny little thing called dial-up. You guys have dial-up? Here in Africa, when the internet first came out, everybody remembered dial-up? It was slow. No? Like, Seppo's going like, yeah, we don't know dial-up. Okay. Telephones still had a cord and they were attached to the wall, right? They had buttons that you punched or you dials that you spun. You guys remember those days? Anybody remember those days?
Does anyone remember?
I'm much younger. I'm much older than I look.
Do you remember when you texted C and you had to hit 1 3 times to get there?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's before that.
Yeah.
The dinosaurs used dial-up.
So anyway, I'm also a nurse by education, so I was working as a nurse at the time. And one of the girls that I worked with said, Melissa, you should try online dating. It was very new. Chat rooms were extremely scandalous.
Which is where we met.
But I lived in a town of 200 people. Like, I knew all the fish in my pond. I was not fishing there. And so we tried this crazy thing called dial-up, and I met Steve. We lived 900 miles apart. I was married. I was a divorced woman with 3 kids. Stephen had never been married, didn't have any children. And somehow God put us together, because only God can help us find somebody that's perfect for us 900 miles away that we would never meet otherwise. And Stephen and I met, and he quickly fell in love with me because I'm such a catch.
Absolutely. And here's the thing is we were older. We knew what was good for us, so we proceeded quickly. And as marriage counselors, we never tell anybody, "Oh, you're going too fast."
You do tell some people that. That's not true.
If you have the right tools, and we will tell you this, that if you are married according to God's design, you have a 100% chance of being successful. And the problem is that most people get off of God's roadmap. Or, like Melissa said earlier, they don't know what they don't know, and we're going to pour into everybody some things that have proven successful, not only in our marriage, but in the hundreds of couples that we've worked with over the past 10 years.
So Stephen and I met. He came to Oklahoma. My daughter was 7, so she was pretty okay with him. My boys were 13 and 17. They were not excited about him. They liked him when he came, brought presents, and went home. They were not exactly excited when he came with the car full of stuff and never left again.